Play another soundbite from Clapper today. The FBI director, Jim Comey, said that there are investigations in all 50 states about radicalizations and the different stages of people being radicalized. This is Clapper talking about Americans trying to travel over to ISIS.
About 180 Americans or so have been involved in various stages of travel to Syria. I should point out this is those who've attempted to go, didn't get there, those who got there and were killed, those who got there, fought and went to another country, and some number have come back. A relatively small number have returned, and we've not identified any of them engaged in attack plotting. 180,
though.
Look, if you want to explain why you get these two stories, you would normally say, and I think that the simpler explanation is that you're either spinning or you're not. Clapper has to say what's happening. He sees all the intelligence. He knows the numbers. And as Jason was saying, what is unprecedented here is we have ISIS, a terror group that is unprecedented in not only in its attractiveness to Western radicals, but controls more territory, controls more finances and funds than any, and weaponry than any in the history of the world. That's a serious issue. So you would like to say that Kerry and Obama are pretending it's otherwise as a way to spin it and to reduce the anxiety and to explain away the inaction and the failure of this administration to address the problem seriously. But I think it's worse. I don't actually think the president is spinning it. I think he truly believes that this is a tranquil era, that we are overhyping, putting emphasis on terrorism, which is out of proportion, that in the end, compared to the strategic threats of Nazism or communism, it's a minor issue. I think he thinks that, and thus I think he is internally placid about all this, where Americans are not only agitated and upset, but actually angered by the way Americans and others, Christians and others, are treated abroad. So I think we really have a president who believes this stuff, and it's not spin, and that, I think, is worse.
Josh Earnest was pressed about this in the White House briefing room today about the different messages from Clapper and from Kerry.
How could Secretary Kerry make the claim to the American people, to the world, that we're safer than we were before?
Well, I think he could do so with the evidence on his side. What he was able to demonstrate, and I think what he was discussing, is the success that our military campaign has had in applying significant pressure to the ISIS leadership. That pressure has been applied, and that has reduced the ability of ISIL to expand their reign of terror. That said, ISIL continues to be very dangerous.
Jason, what was said there? And if you put Clapper's soundbite about 50 years in the intelligence business, I don't know of a time that is more beset by challenges and crises. I worry about the safety and security of this country.
It's spin in messaging, and it's coming from a president who is fundamentally uncomfortable with being the leader of the free world. This is a president who thinks America is the greatest threat to world stability. And I think our allies and our enemies have picked up on this. They see weakness, or they're concerned. Assad sees weakness. Putin sees weakness. Netanyahu is concerned, so concerned that he's coming to this country because he feels that we're going to cut a deal with Iran that is going to jeopardize the very existence of Israel, an ally of ours. That's how concerned he is. And this all starts with the White House and what it is projecting, which is uncertainty.
You know, Charles just put it in stark relief for me. The president is either spinning and looking weak, which is what I was guessing, or he's not spinning and he is weak. That's a devil's choice. I mean, I'd like to think he's just spinning and looking weak, but even if that's the case, we're in a world of hurt. If Charles is right, I hate to think what the consequences are.
A lot of people, criticize, talk about the semantics, what they say, whether they're using these words. We should be talking about what they should do, but how they say it and what they're saying does matter.
Sure.
It does, and when Obama says Islamic State is not Islamic, I think he believes it. What's interesting is that he's got a Kerry and an Earnest and others in the administration who I think are not true believers, because I think it's delusional what the president is thinking. And if you hear them, what you're hearing is spin, because it's hard to believe. But the president is the one who has this idea that everything's okay, that there's a perversion of Islam, it's not really a threat, it's low level, and as he said in the interview, he said this is hyped in the media. If it bleeds, it leads. He believes it. The others have to spin it. Otherwise, how do you defend the president?
It was on the Vox.com interview a couple weeks ago. Next up, more problems for Hillary Clinton over her family's charitable foundation. We'll look into that.